Welcome back everyone, and thanks for clicking on to join us on day 7 of our scooter tour around Scotland. It's a good morning from all of us up here at Bettyhill on the very north coast of Scotland. Great hospitality last night and a comfy sleep at the Bettyhill Hotel, which is normally quite picturesque. Although today it's a bit damp and blustery outside, so it's time for a full hearty breakfast in the Bettyhill Hotel.
Here we are in Scotland. Hard week's riding, but really good week. Really recommend it. Everyone should come and do this. Brilliant. Fantastic.
Dawn and Mark. So we've had 2 birthdays and a wedding this week, and also a fantastic ride. Great people. Recommend.
Well, I've woken up a bit now after a really hard day's riding last night. I didn't even know a bloody wedding had happened in front of me. But what a wonderful evening. It was absolutely fantastic.
Here we are on day 7. We're on our way to John and Groat. It's been a fantastic trip so far. Unbelievable company. Great scooter riding. This is the place to be.
With 156 miles to cover today, heading east to Dunnet Head and John and Groats, before following the coastline around and down the east coast on the A99 and A9, all the way down 100 miles or so southerly onto tonight's accommodation at Delny Glamping near Inverness.
And there's Gary sneaking off, getting himself a head start.
76 miles to do this morning as we head east on the A836 out of Bettyhill, passing Dunrobin and the nuclear power station on the way to Thurso, before we take a slight detour up to the British mainland's most northerly point at Dunnet Head. Then it's a hop across to John O'Groats before we turn around and start the first leg of our long journey home, heading south on the A99 for our planned lunch stop at Wick.
And here's the rest of the crew, and they're not far behind Gary. There's a little bit of drizzle in the air, so everyone's prepared and put their waterproofs on. Here they are, winding their way through the gorse bushes at Strathy, on their way to the town of Thurso, where they can get petrol.
Thankfully the weather's picked up a bit. We've passed the nuclear power station at Dunrobin and we've made it to Thurso. Here's a nice shot of the church in the main square of Thurso. We've refilled at the Bridgend service station, and Stella Steve has refilled too.
Been a tough old week already. I'm absolutely knackered. Now I have to have one of these. Cheers, lads.
So we're on board now with Dave Cross's GoPro. We've just turned off the 836 onto the B855 for a 4-mile detour up a single track road to Dunnet Head. Some nice sea stacks along the way, just past Brora. This is the final approach. There's Stewie Harding and Martin in front. Hello. There's Eamon and Gary come down the other way. There's Steve, Chris and Jim with the famous engraved marker stone. Here's a nice shot of a lovely old lighthouse at Dunnet Head, where you can easily see the Orkney Isles in the background. The point of the peninsula here is also called Easter Head. It's an ideal spot for ornithologists. You can see razorbills, guillemots and puffins, and even the odd Arctic skua. That's the Orkney Isles over there. It's about 8 miles across the water. Making our way to John O'Groats now. For those of us that left Northampton last Friday, we've now covered a staggering 990 miles so far on this trip.
Okay, so we've been touring around Scotland for 6 days now. We're 630 miles from home and we've made it to the famous John O'Groats. Contrary to popular belief, this isn't the most northerly point of the mainland. That, of course, which you've just seen, is the nearby Dunnet Head. John O'Groats is famous because it's the furthest inhabited place from Land's End in Cornwall. And the route from Land's End to John O'Groats is famous for being the furthest you can travel between 2 inhabited places. Although to be fair, it is correct to say that John O'Groats is the British mainland's most northeasterly point. John O'Groats has a population of around 300. This small town is a bit dispersed, but amongst its normal dwellings there's a shop, a petrol station, a sports park, even a fire station and a linear centre with council housing. Of course, the northern tip of John O'Groats attracts a lot of tourists, where there's a small harbour, a cafe, a couple of gift shops, a hotel, some self-catering holiday lets and a camping and caravan club site. Then, of course, there's the infamous John O'Groats signpost. Time for a group photo shot for as many of the crew as we could round up. Nice to see that Jason and Paula at the back had got in on the shot. They'd joined up with us last night for a couple of days. Time for some individual shots. Here's Dave Cross on his battle-scarred GTS. Here's Andy Fingers Northfield. He's made it up here for the 2nd year running. And some wisecrack has put their club sticker not on the signpost but below it. Quite literally. Steve Green here now. He's made it all the way up here on his old school Vespa 150 Super. This is Philip Gilly on his PX 200. And as you can see, we've got the NVLSC sticker on the John O'Groats sticker board for the 3rd year running.
Fantastic.
Here's Andy with his Mrs. K, who's been good enough to drive the support van around the whole route for us this week. And I have to say she's been an absolute diamond for us all. As has Sarah, who's been driving the 2nd van around for us all week too. And now we're on to Eamon, who's now ticked off this little beauty from his bucket list, as has Mr. Desert Storm, Chris Wildman on his Vespa LXV. And here's Steve Coombs, 999 miles since he left home, standing at John O'Groats signpost with his classic geared 2-stroke. An amazing achievement in anybody's book. And lastly, here's another one of the real mile munchers, Patrick Craig, who's rode all the way from home on his Vespa GTS. Well done, Pat. So we've done all the photos for those that wanted them. Just waiting now for everyone to finish their coffees and we'll be on our way.
So they've all got their photos at John O'Groats, and it's a quick splash and dash at the first and last filling station of mainland Britain. We've turned around now and picked up the A99 heading south. The first thing that hits is the horrendous headwinds, but still nice roads and nice scenery. Over there to the left is the old Castle ruins. We've now just clocked up and over the 1,000-mile point of this trip. Fantastic. And there's Ian Rock in front, and it's just a 16-mile leg now to Wick for lunch, which is just as well because we're all getting a bit peckish. And we've all made it in good time to Wick for lunch at Morag's Cafe. Oh, there's a pizzeria over the road if you fancy something Italian. Wick is easily the largest settlement in the area. It has a population of around 7,000 and even has its own airport. Back in the day, the community of Wick relied heavily on its thriving herring industry. The harbour of Wick was in fact the largest herring port in Europe. We've all had a good meal at Morag's Cafe and picked up our NC500 souvenirs that are all available in a section set aside in Morag's. Badges, patches, flags, signs, cuddly toys all available, alongside the key rings, bottle openers, books, jewellery and sex toys. And there she is, this marvellous lady that's fed over 20 of us now for the second year running. This is Morag herself. And of course, the last thing to do on a flying visit through Wick is to stop outside McKay's Hotel and get a photo of your scooter on the world's shortest street. As accredited by the Guinness Book of Records, Ebenezer Place, officially 6 foot 9 inches long. One at a time, please.
So, with a quick stop off for those that needed fuel heading out of Wick, we embarked on our longest stint of the week, 46 miles south, battling the headwinds down the A9, taking in the spectacular views and the sweeping bends at the Berrydale Braes, and on towards Helmsdale. That was Nick just flying past, followed by Steve and Stewie. Apart from the winds, it was a glorious afternoon. The A9 was giving us great views across the North Sea to the left. After a hard hour's ride, we regrouped for fuel at the Victoria Garage in the town of Brora.
We were soon back on the road. And just 5 miles south of Brora, we turned in for a look at Dunrobin Castle. As we rode through the avenue of trees down the driveway, this beautiful stately home appeared. Dunrobin Castle has been the family seat of the Clan Sutherland since the 13th century and is still home of the Earl of Sutherland and his family to this day. Time for our group to line up for a nice group photo. The earliest part of the building dates back to 1275. Like most Scottish castles, Dunrobin started life as a square keep and served as a defensive fortress. Major changes came in the 16th century when a large staircase and high house were added to the square tower, with major expansion taking place in 1785 to accommodate the growing Sutherland family. Oh, hey up, and some bikers have been sat at the top of the drive. They've seen what we did for our group photo, and they've seen that we didn't get told off, so they've now plucked up the courage to come down and line up and get the same shot. In 1845, Sir Charles Barry was commissioned to remodel the entire castle, and his signature is behind the unique French chateau style which we see today. By the time Sir Charles Barry's work was completed in 1851, the castle had tripled in size, boasting a total of 189 rooms. We were fortunate enough to be able to get through the side gate and take a walk down the steps for a great view of the spectacular formal gardens, which boast many unusual and interesting species of plants, shrubs and trees that thrive in the sheltered subtropical conditions. There are also spectacular expansive views across the North Sea in front and the Dornoh Firth to the right, with the Tarbert Ness Peninsula. So we're in good time. We're just having 5 minutes shelter from the winds and enjoying the sunshine and the blue skies while taking in this spectacular architecture.
I've had a fantastic week doing the NC500, but it's been a tough old week, so I've had to have a Red Bull.
Just down the road, Dunrobin Castle has its own railway station connected to the Far North Line. The station was commissioned by the Earl of Sutherland in 1870 as a private railway station solely for castle dwellers and guests. How cool is that? In more recent times, Dunrobin Castle was used as a naval hospital during the First World War and was used for a short time in the 60s as a boarding school for boys. Since 1973, the castle house and grounds have been open to the public, with private quarters retained for use by the Sutherlands.
From Dunrobin Castle, it was another good 27-mile stretch to our digs for the night. It was a crossing over the Dornoh Firth Bridge, which opened in 1991. And here comes a group crossing it now. On with the final leg of the day, and we've just got to pass Tain and we'll soon reach the glamping pods of Delny Glamping near Invergordon. And we've found a right little gem here at Delny Glamping. The purpose-built pods are set within the grounds of Delny House. Delny House itself is steeped in history, with endless tales of clan warfare, bloody deeds and treachery abound. And parts of the house date back to the 13th century. In a large paddock at the rear of the house is where we're staying. There's a communal barbecue area at the centre of the site and 6 sleeping pods around the perimeter. All of them are well equipped and all very reasonably priced, around 30 quid a night per head, based on them being shared at full capacity.
The hardest ride I've ever had in my life. 150 miles, 50 mile an hour winds, crosswinds, headwinds, tailwinds. extremely difficult riding conditions, fantastic scenery, and when I was ahead, the fears were the worst I've ever had when I seen 2 police cars and an ambulance go past. I thought the worst. Gladly, all 22 of us on the bikes arrived home safe and well. Fantastic trip.
The pods at Delny Glamping are either 2, 4 or 6 berth, and we can't rate this place highly enough, especially for groups. We're already booked back in here for next year, and I'll let Ian Rock give you a tour around one of the pods.
So welcome to Delny Glamping. Beautiful evening with beautiful mates. What a great time we've had. Absolutely loved it. Now this is where we're sleeping. There's my boots. There's our little glamping pod. Walking in. There's our little table. Our little fire. Little fridge. Toaster. There's my cuppa brewing. And there's 1 bunk, 2 bunk, 3 bunk. I might have that one. 4 bunk. So it looks like gibbos on the top. A little TV. We'll walk through the other one. There's Jim's jacket. Nice and warm with the fire on. How cosy is that? Double bed. And last but not least, my little bathroom. Little corner sink. Little shower. So it's a wet room as well. And a little toilet. Absolutely busting. Well done, Martin. You've proper pulled this one off, kid.
Here's Scotch Gary Linen, doing some running repairs on his 1950 Vespa GS. Clutch problems, I believe. And of course, his supervisor, Steve Wheatley again, just making sure everything's in order.
Scotch Stevie looks like he's enjoying himself. Delny Glamping is also great for families with young children who will love the Pets Corner tucked away in the top paddock. There's ducks, hens, pygmy goats, lop-eared rabbits and a superstar pig named Kevin Bacon. And with the selector playing, it sounds like the NVLSC Roadshow is up and running, blaring out the tunes. It must be nearly time for Nick Wake's party hour. Everyone else seems to be settling in nicely. We also had a number of candidates from today's ride to wear the kilt for dinner tonight. God only knows how Scotch Gary Linney and his terminal breakdown wormed his way out of this one, but somehow, both for rather minor misdemeanours, Chris Wildman and Scotch Stevie have got the vote. Fantastic. With the on-site barbecue area at Delny, we took advantage. After a quick whip round, we sent the girls to the local supermarket for food supplies and alcohol. The sausages and burgers were soon on the grill. Paul Ledley kept turning the bangers under the watchful eye of supervisor Steve Wheatley. Then, with the roadshow tunes playing away, it was drinks around the fire for the rest of the night. Fantastic. With good mates, jokes, banter, and a stream of endless tales exchanged from the unforgettable week we'd all just had around Scotland. This continued until we finally called it a day in the early hours. And on that note, I'll let Andy Northfield have the final word.
Fantastic.
And with the music playing and the drinks going down well, that concludes part 7 of our Scotland video as we spend the final night all together at Delny Glamping.
I'd just like to say, Jason Neal,
look at what you've missed, mate.
We hope you can join back up with us tomorrow as we finish the North Coast 500 route. It's a stop off at the Munlochy Clootie Well before we head to the official finishing point at Inverness Castle. Then, whilst the others head off to their vans back at Fort William, the rest of us have a 200-mile ride through the Cairngorms mountains.
Just riding through the Highlands, it's just the most beautiful, majestic place I've ever seen. Obviously the wedding, the fantastic backdrop with the beautiful beach. It's just been a stunning week and I'd recommend anyone in the club to come.
One bend opens out, another stunning view appears ahead. It is absolutely fantastic.